You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, Y&R fans. So, have you noticed the new guy who's playing Nikki Newman's sponsor, Seth? The CBS soap hired somebody who's more experienced and talented than a random extra day player, and that has me wondering if there's something big coming with him. And I wonder if it ties back to Jordan Howard's evil revenge plan. Hey, this is Belinda from Soap Dirt, and let's talk about what happens this week to make it seem more likely that he might be an accomplice of Jordan's, but also please click subscribe if you haven't. All right, let's dive right into this soapy mess. So the first thing, just to get this out of the way, I want to say about Seth being Nikki's sponsor is this. It's pretty uncommon for a man to sponsor a woman and vice versa. It's not encouraged. One of the explanations for that is that someone of the same sex as you may have a better understanding of your issues and perspective. Guys get guys better, women get women better, other people get other people better, you know. Another is that being sponsored by someone of the opposite sex can lead you into temptation. And the whole idea of having a sponsor is to resist temptation. There are so many complex issues tied to addiction. Some addicts turn to sex for reassurance, comfort, or while out of control. I've had a couple of them in my family. My dad was in rehab at one point. So I've been to some of these meetings. I kind of see what's going on. I'm sure some of you guys that are listening have some experience with this too. So it's pretty unusual. And, you know, just right off the bat, after seeing them, Seth being Nikki's sponsor seems off to me. Plus, there's the fact that right after Victor Newman met him, he was suspicious of the guy. If you recall, when Nikki woke up at the GCAC after her recent bender, Seth was there handing her water, doing stuff for her. Lauren Fenmore had contacted him and Seth came running. But it seems like a bad idea to leave a whole grown man in a hotel room with an unconscious drunk woman. But that's what Lauren did with Seth and Nikki. Lauren called him, then she left. So that to me was weird too. I feel like Lauren is overwhelmed by all this, and maybe she wasn't exercising good judgment, but that was a very sketchy deal. So when Victor found out where she was and he shows up, he finds his wife alone with this man he doesn't know while he knows she was boozy. Of course, the mustache didn't like it one bit. I don't like it one bit either. And there is more in store. So on the Tuesday, January 16th Y&R episode, Nikki kind of explains her backstory with Seth to Lauren. She tells her friend that she does think Seth is a good sponsor, says she has been seeing him at meetings in Genoa City here and there over the years. So he's a known commodity in a casual way. And she said it evolved from there, says they get along. So when she needed a sponsor, she reached out. But maybe there's more to it. Maybe there's a lot more to it. For instance, we just found out that Jordan Howard's reign of terror is far from done. Actress Melody Thomas Scott says Nikki faces more terror from Jordan in a few weeks, and that means it'll come right at the peak of February sweeps. So I'm wondering if Jordan has a tie to Seth and if he'll be a part of this. Maybe he's her accomplice. Just because Nikki knew Seth for a while now doesn't mean that he's not working with Jordan. Everybody has a weak spot that can be leveraged through a bribe, a blackmail, or other means. Jordan knows her way around Genoa City, and she's been plotting this payback scheme literally for years. She stole Claire as part of it more than 2 decades ago, and then it's been festering all this time. That is certainly long enough to find someone in the local GCAA groups to use as a pawn. I mean, heck, Seth could even be Jordan's boyfriend, and they've been conspiring for years. Given how long Jordan's been planning this, Seth meeting Nikki years back, might have been all part of the plan. So then on the Tuesday episode, also, we see that Seth's behavior is very suspect. While Nikki's with Lauren at the coffee shop, Seth shows up yawning, and Nikki notes that he missed that morning's AA meeting, and he's acting kind of cagey, kind of smiley, kind of weird. He's clearly exhausted, which is all very strange. Maybe he had fallen off the wagon and was off doing whatever, or maybe he's tired because he just made a quick visit to Oregon to visit Jordan and find out what are the next steps in the plan now that she's been arrested. So as Seth and Nikki talk, she thanks him for all his help. He keeps on yawning. He seems exhausted. Then he makes an excuse like, oh, maybe I'm getting sick. Maybe I'm coming down with a bug or something. And then Seth says he's planning on hitting up a late meeting, but Nikki thinks he ought to go home to bed and get some rest instead. Seth agrees, steps away to get a coffee, and he's going to take off. Meanwhile, on Tuesday, Nikki tells Lauren he's behaving strangely. I'm glad that Nikki notices that his behavior is off, so maybe she'll have her guard up because, Claire was able to come in and run a real con on Nikki and the other Newmans, and you saw how that worked out for them. Not well at all. She got knocked off the wagon. She's now dealing with sobriety and addiction issues after years of being clean. So I just have to wonder if Seth is working with Jordan either willingly or unwillingly. What's the big plan? For one thing, Seth could be slipping Nikki alcohol or drugs into the bottles of water and into her coffee and stuff at meetings because he's got access to her, Seth's also in a position where he could probably get Nikki to meet him somewhere private in case, Jordan wants to kidnap her again after she breaks out of prison, which I assume she's going to do because that's the only way to get revenge, break out. Nikki noticed that his behavior was strange, but I really don't think it's crossed her mind that Seth could be plotting against her as part of Nutty Jordan's vengeance plans. Jordan seems to be focused very much on Nikki for these revenge plans. And why? Because her equally insane sister Eve Howard loved Victor, who loves Nikki. So it's kind of about transference. And let's be clear, none of the Newmans killed Jordan's sister Eve. She died from an infection from a mosquito bite. It's not really a soapy way to go, but that's what's killed her. She's definitely dead. They even dug up her corpse at one point to DNA test match her and Victor and Cole. So I suspect Seth might be a minion of Jordan's, but that begs the question, is it willingly or unwillingly? Jordan might have gotten him drunk and taken photos of him in a compromising position to blackmail him, or she might have kidnapped someone he cares about and is holding them captive to ensure he follows orders. Or Seth could be just neck deep in this anti-Newman plot of his own free will because he's in a relationship with Jordan or he's got an axe to grind. I mean, he and Jordan are 15 years apart in age, not enough to really matter. Shakespeare said that misery acquaints a man with strange bedfellows. Basically, it means odd couplings and commonalities happen when misery is part of the mix, and maybe Seth and Jordan are both so miserable that they have wound up bedfellows in this plot against Nikki. I mean, Jordan is definitely a miserable human being. So we'll see how it goes. But after the Tuesday, January 16th U.S. episode, let me know if you feel it. Do you think Seth is, in cahoots with Jordan and slimed his way into being Nikki's sponsor so he can do bad things? Maybe. There's no official spoilers on that front yet. Just the fact that Seth is acting very strangely, and February sweep spoilers for Jordan's vengeful comeback. Hey, if you haven't already, reach down, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Definitely drop your comments. Let me know if you think Seth might be an accomplice of Jordan's, and come back soon because we're here talking Y&R 7 days a week. And as always, it's Belinda from Soap Dirt.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.